What's up, Internet? My name's Kyle, back with another episode about cameras, tech, and all that good stuff. I am vlogging right now with the Sony A6600 and the 16 to 55 f2.8 lens. Gonna do this video a little vlog style, so let's see how that goes. See me? Harvey. If you're wondering what this setup looks like, it looks like this. Obviously, this is blocking my face, so I can't see anything, but I wanted to try to go for the better sound route than, not having good sound. So let's see how this works. Okay, so Nikon has released a mirrorless crop sensor camera called the Z50. Now what's interesting is that this isn't their first attempt at a crop sensor mirrorless camera, which is news to me, but it's really the only one you should ever care about. Now first off, I am excited that they announced this camera. As you guys know, I love crop sensor mirrorless cameras like the A6000 or the Canon M50, and it is good to have competition. Now real quick, it's gonna come out in November and it's gonna be $850 for just the body itself. Now if you want the kit lens, it's gonna be very similar to the Sony A6000's kit lens. It's a 16 to 50, not a power zoom, and it has image stabilization in it, which Nikon calls VR. With the kit lens, it's going to be $1,000, so you save $50 off of getting them separately. And then just like Sony again, they're coming out with a 50 to 250 millimeter lens, same aperture range, and it also has image stabilization or VR. And if you want that with the body, it's going to be $1,350. So a good chunk of change to start off with a better lens. All right, so this video is not gonna be a huge spec or deep dive into the camera. I just wanna talk about a couple key things that I think are worth talking about. So I just moved spots, and not only are my dogs barking at people that walk by, also somebody is mowing their lawn. So yeah, real fun. And now there's a truck parking in front of my driveway. Vlogging, it's fun. So far from what I've seen in other video reviews or previews, so to speak, of the Nikon Z50 from channels that I really like and really respect. Really? All right, so the first thing that I want to talk about with the Nikon Z50 is eye autofocus in continuous autofocus. Now, I'm not sure if Nikon calls it AFC like Sony does, but basically in a continuous focusing mode, you can use eye autofocus on the Nikon Z50. Now, this isn't a big deal necessarily that they have that feature. Canon has that feature, Sony has that feature, and is regarded as the best eye autofocus. However, it looks like from other channels that I respect, other channels that I am subscribed to, they think that the eye autofocus on the Nikon Z50 is actually really good. Now, I think that is super awesome to hear. A lot of the times, cameras say they have IAF, and it just doesn't work out very well. A lot of people love Sony's eye autofocus, and I am really excited for everybody else to catch up, and it looks like the Nikon Z50 has good IAF, and I'm excited about it. Oh, hey Harvey, can I come sit with you? Yeah? Also, I know this isn't like me adventuring everywhere or anything like that. I thought I was gonna go outside and film, but it's really, really loud. Okay, and the next thing I wanna talk about is probably the biggest deal in this whole ordeal of Nikon releasing a APS-C mirrorless camera, and that is, it is a Z mount camera, and they're moving to the one mount across full frame and crop sensor cameras for the Z mount system. Now, at first, this is a very good thing. Sony does it as well. Any E-mount lens can fit on an E-mount camera, which is great. So a lens for the A6000 can fit on a Sony A7 and a bunch of other different models. It's gonna be the same thing. Lenses for the Z50, whether they're crop sensor or full frame, will fit on the Z6 or the Z7 and vice versa. So obviously this is good. No adapter required. However, if you want to use older lenses that Nikon has, the cheaper lenses, you will have to buy an adapter, and their adapter isn't cheap. Okay, so there are 3 bad things about using the one mount fits all approach for both their full frame and their mirrorless cameras. Now, one, unlike Sony, who's been in the mirrorless game for years, Nikon doesn't have very many lenses at all. So what does this mean? This means that when you get your Z50, there are only 2 crop sensor mirrorless lenses for your Z mount camera. And that kind of sucks. Now, granted, it's a new camera. 2 new lenses is better than just 1 lens coming out with the camera, so it is what it is. Now, issue 2 is that, yes, you can use the full frame lenses that, go on the Z6 or Z7, but the cheapest one is $600, and it just goes up from $600 to an astounding $7,000, I think their newest lens is. That's a very specialty lens, but you get my point, is that $600 is the cheapest full frame lens that you can put on your Z50, and that kind of sucks. Then another point is that, okay, cool, Kyle, but I'll just get the adapter and I'll use the older DSLR lenses on my Z50 and everything will be nice and work perfectly fine. Now, you probably aren't wrong. They'll probably work just fine, but Nikon boasted about this Z mount, which is a huge mount for such a little camera. And the whole basis around this is that it will let in more light and allow lens builders or lens creators to utilize the light on this new mount and make better lenses. Not for you to buy an expensive adapter and put old lenses that have been out for years on your new camera. I mean, again, they will work and it might be a good option when you first get this camera, but in the long run, you're gonna want native lenses and they're not going to put out a lot of them in the near future. And that kind of segues into that, which is how many crop sensor lenses are they making for the Z50, or how many, in the near future, and there's only one, and it's going to be an 18-140, which sounds amazing to me on paper, but they also don't give you the aperture range or anything like that, or price, so we'll know when that eventually comes down the line. Okay, so that was probably more than 3 things, I think, right, Sammy? Is that true? Was I keeping count? I don't think I was. Are you happy right now? Are you happy? Yeah? I'm not sure if Sammy's gonna get a Nikon Z50 or not. I'm not sure after hearing all this stuff. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about is the screen on the Z50. So it flips downward instead of upward. I mean, I showed you guys earlier how the A6600 doesn't really have the best design when you're trying to use a microphone. Now, it is a touch screen and you can touch to focus, and I believe you can touch the menu system. If that is the case, they are already one step ahead of Sony, which in Nikon world, if they can get ahead of Sony in any kind of area, that's a good thing. As everybody knows, Sony has touch to focus, like say on this A6600, but you can't touch your way through the menus. And that is a feature I really love on the Canon M50, which I have, and it's such a more user-friendly screen. Overall, my thoughts on it are, it's cool, it looks like it looks good, obviously I have to see it in person, and then also, I hate that it flips down. I'm sorry, I hate that it flips down. Maybe if I use it, I'll think a little differently, but for vlogging purposes, I don't think it's gonna work. And for shooting purposes, it might be half useful, but I don't know. Harvey, where you at, bud? Where you at, bud? What you doing? What you doing? Harvey likes to sit here and look outside, and I'll put his head on the windowsill to guard us from the bad guys. Oh, hi, Sammy. Hey, everybody. I'm on the floor. Oh, snap. I'm hitting the table. Sorry about that. You guys may recognize this area right here. This is where I filmed a couple of my first videos talking about cameras. Okay, so what did we talk about? We talked about improve IAF, which is really great. And then we talked about the whole crop sensor, full frame, lenses, availability, all that situation. And then we also talked about the flip down, but a fully touch screen. So overall, I mean, I feel like my feelings are very mixed on this camera. I'm not sure that Nikon should have released a crop sensor mirrorless camera and maybe just focused on full frame and just went the kind of more professional or real enthusiast route. But, you know, time will tell if this was a good decision by Nikon. I think it's a good looking camera, and they didn't skimp out on video specs, which is really nice. It has a microphone port, all that good stuff. Yeah, I think overall it's a really good camera. It would have been really, really interesting if they priced it at $750, which would have been the same as the A6100 that Sony's releasing. However, I do see where they're coming from. It may be more of a competitor with the 6400. Yeah. Anyway, guys, what are your thoughts on this new camera? Did you even know that they were going to announce something like this? Now that they have, what are your thoughts? Are you going to buy it? Do you think it's a waste of time? Do you think Nikon got it wrong? Yeah, do you think it's better than any of the Sony cameras or Canon cameras out that are mirrorless crop sensor? What are your thoughts? I will talk to you guys about this new camera down in the comments. Hopefully I'll have a link for it at some point down there. Links to everything else I use, including the 6600 and the new lens that I'm filming on right now, will be down below. So that is gonna do it for me. Thank you guys so much for all of your support. I really, really appreciate it. And as always, I will see you guys in the next episode. Later.
Harvey. Harvey.